Rebel, 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 rebel,
Rebel, rebel, rebel, rebel, rebel.
rebel, 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 Jon Snow, rebel, 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 rebel. Welcome back to another edition of Tonight's Watch. I'm Geoff.
I'm Ron.
And holy shit, Ron, we actually got for us like some decent hits in the last episode. I was impressed.
Yeah, 359 at the time of this recording.
Which for us is like, it might as well be like a little infinity symbol.
Dude, that is a record breaker all around for us. Not only did it hit, I think, 100 within the first 24 hours, but, I mean, we have videos that have been up for months that don't have 100 views, but to get 300 in a week.
It's so pitiful in the grand scheme of the internet, but for us, it's like we got 10,000 hits.
Oh, I know. Dude,
Yeah.
And then the fact that, I mean, we've made it. I mean, South Park hasn't made a parody of us yet, but we fucking made it because there's people correcting our shit now.
I know, and not even just one person, but two people corrected us.
Two people. And a bot threatened our souls.
We're fucking there, dude. We're fucking there.
I'm telling
After
you.
the thrones, I'm fucking coming for you.
But yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to two people that corrected us. The first one was Scott Peters, who pointed out in the last episode that we said that we thought this was the first flashback they ever did.
Oh, but by the way, spoilers for
Oh yeah, for the
week's.
last episode. If you're listening to this, surely you've seen up to this point.
I know. I like to cover our bases.
But yeah, the Bran segment we thought was the first flashback, but he pointed out that Cersei gets told that her kids will die in a flashback in a prior season.
And they even had a cool callback within the episode to that exact scene, so it was very, very good callback on his part.
Yeah, and then I don't even know. Boring ASMR is in all caps, so I don't know if that's short for something or it's just boring asthma. But we were geeking out about the fact that they pointed out that he has giant's blood. Hodor does.
Yeah.
And actually, the guy correcting us said it was in season 4, but looking into it, it was season 1 that they actually say that. But still, the fact that he fucking remembered that Asha, however you say her name, mentioned. Well, she makes a wisecrack because Hodor passes by naked. And
Yeah.
it's like, he must have giant's blood.
Yeah, the guy that remembered that from 5 seasons ago, like, those two guys who commented should be doing the podcast, not you and I, because they
Right.
clearly know what they're talking about.
We just watch this stuff. We don't actually know what's going on. But
Tonight's confused watch.
But yeah, I just want to thank everyone that listened to our bullshit and the two guys for pointing out mistakes that we made. I thought that was pretty cool. And they did it without talking about how they fucked our moms or anything too. So
well, that's this episode, so just wait. They'll come back. They'll come back with a vengeance. But yeah, we appreciate anyone who takes the time to listen to us, because Ron and I really just do this for fun. The fact that anyone besides me or Ron ever listens to any of this stuff is just icing on the cake. So we really appreciate the people checking it out. With that, do you want to go ahead and get into tonight's episode, Ron?
absolutely.
Okay, we'll do our normal thing. We'll talk a minute or two overall spoiler-free observations, then we'll jump right in. So what were your thoughts on the episode overall spoiler-free?
A lot of housekeeping, but that doesn't mean it was a bad episode. It was a pretty good episode. 9.9 on IMDb, if that tells you anything. So, but yeah. For what's interesting is for the amount of housekeeping they do, you'd think the episode would feel slow, but it still felt like 10 minutes to me. What did it feel like to you?
I thought it was... I still liked last week's episode better, but I thought this was also fantastic. If they keep this pace up they're on, I think this will be one of their best seasons.
This episode, I said it's a lot of housekeeping, but what makes it so great is the actors' performances throughout this episode. That's there wasn't a whole lot of like action or anything like that to fall back on, so it was really up to the actors to make the episode. And of course, being Game of Thrones and HBO, they did.
Last thing I'll say, spoiler free, I thought this was Kit Harington's best episode he's ever done.
Agreed.
I thought he was absolutely fantastic in doing the thing that you and I always talk about, what separates a good actor from a great actor is what they can portray without saying a word.
Yeah, they can say everything they need to say without ever saying a word.
And I thought he was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I love this episode too. It was a lot of housekeeping, like you said, but when Game of Thrones does housekeeping, it is more enthralling than most other shows like season finale. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, this was not Arrow's housekeeping.
Why did you have to go and bring the room down? Damn it! Every time I start to forget that show exists, Ron brings it back up. But yeah. From here on out, we're going to be going back into spoilers for today's episode, which was season 3 of season 6, episode 3, Oathbreaker. Right, was the name?
Yes.
Okay, so you've been warned from here on out. We are going full on spoilers. And my first note that I want to bring up was I love that Game of Thrones. When I watch it, I never feel dicked around as a fan like I do with The Walking Dead.
Yes.
The last episode, episode 2, ends with snow, right back to snow at the beginning of the next episode.
Yes.
If this was The Walking Dead, that would have been the last 5 minutes of the episode.
You'd have had an hour and a half of Morgan, even though this is Game of Thrones.
I got to clear, man. I got to clear the White Walker. But yeah, that was my first thing. We went right back to Castle Black.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Just to interrupt you for a second. That is something I would watch. Morgan v. White Walkers. I would watch that endlessly.
Yeah, that would actually be more compelling than anything The Walking Dead will ever do ever again. So it would behoove them to do that. Yeah. So we went right back to fucking Castle Black. Thank you, Game of Thrones writers, for never feeling like I'm being dicked around. First of all, did you actually see they actually got a little bit of feedback, like negative feedback about bringing snow back? Did you hear about this?
No, I did not.
A lot of people were basically kind of calling them out for basically following the pattern. Like the buzzword around the internet was they were calling it the Glenn problem, which you know what I'm talking about if you are familiar with that TV show. Completely different thing with Game of Thrones.
I agree.
This was the return of snow was set up in season 2.
Yeah.
4 seasons earlier. And also, he fucking died.
Yes.
It wasn't a fake out.
Glenn has not died and been resurrected.
I just found it absolutely absurd that people were complaining about that. I just wanted to, first of all, bring that up.
No one found Jon Snow under a dumpster.
Yeah. Although I kind of want them to just make fun of The Walking Dead. By doing that. It's like White Walkers all around, snows underneath the dumpster outside the Castle Black. That would be kind of entertaining. But I appreciated them doing that. I totally bought every single person's reaction to him coming back to life.
Oh yeah, no, they all sold it well. What do you think about Jon Snow's reaction after, like, when it comes in on him and he's just the way he's looking around the room is like, what the fuck? I was outside, I was being stabbed, and now I'm inside. What's going on? And then he looks down and he sees all the wounds. That was
the first thing that made me think that this was Kit Harington's best episode, best performance on the show, because like his reaction is so raw. Like when he feels the stab wounds, you're just like, Jesus.
Yeah, you could tell by just looking at his face that the thoughts running through his character's head was, oh my God, it did happen. It was not a dream. You know? Yeah. Yeah, no, he had an entire dialogue with just his reaction to it. And that is one thing I wanted to point out that they said in the the little tidbits at the end of the episode when they talked to showrunner and writers and producers and stuff, is they said originally that scene had a ton more dialogue to it. And when they went back and read the script, they're like, you know what, this doesn't give the scene its due, so they removed all that dialogue and just let the awe of the moment kind of play out like it should have. And hearing that makes me really happy as a fan.
They're very, very smart. I thought the way the scene was done was brilliant, and I agree. I totally 110% agree with you and them for the change, because I think it was smart to kind of let the viewer soak in the moment, like you were talking about. Like, it wouldn't be a thing if you came back to life. You would be so shocked. You wouldn't be able to formulate words, which he really isn't for a good minute or so.
And neither was Davos.
His jaw is literally fangirling like Geoff was last week that he's still alive.
Surprise Patrick had nothing on Surprise Davos, dude.
for sure. Also, not only his, but Melisandre, that actress.
That was one of the notes I put down.
Her reaction to basically like, holy shit, I am legit. My religion isn't complete horseshit.
Her faith was completely reaffirmed is what I had written down.
And then what was brilliant, too, was the first thing she talks about is, oh, that Stannis guy, fuck him.
Yeah, basically.
I'm with you now.
Yeah.
Which is completely true because it's kind of crazy. Every single thing, and she kind of has a point because every single thing that Stannis ever did perfectly led up to the moment where she left him to go to Castle Black.
Yep.
So it's just like, it was one of those things where like, within the Game of Thrones universe, that's almost showing that like you could believe in fate, you know?
Yeah. I know. All roads led to her going to Castle Black just for that moment, basically. But yeah, and then his line of everyone has always told him his whole life to do what he believes is right, and that's what he always believes in. Then the line of I did what I thought was right, and I got murdered for it. Like it's just his whole world is fractured.
His delivery was so fucking heartfelt, dude.
Yeah.
Where it was just crazy. Also, I wrote down one of my favorite quotes. You could take this quote outside of Game of Thrones. It's just a great quote. Like it could be one of those annoying little Forbes quotes that you X off of trying to go to their website. It was between him and Davos after Davos asks Melisandre to leave.
Oh,
and
yes.
then he says, "I failed. Good. Now go fail again."
I loved that quote.
Fuck yeah, dude. Like, that is just fantastic. Just writing outside of the fantasy show with dragons and fucking White Walkers. That's just a great quote, period.
Yeah.
I loved it. Did you have any other notes from the opening with Castle Black?
Nope, not really. I just wanted to note, like you said, Kit Harington's all of his portrayal of everything, and the fact that, like you pointed out, one of our favorite things is the fact that some actors can say everything without saying anything. I don't know. I already liked him as an actor, but I feel like I had been underestimating him this whole time until that scene.
I agree. I totally agree. Like, I've always liked him. Obviously, he's my boy. That's what I say. He's my favorite character. But on just the acting level, him in my book, he went up way high on the list because that performance.
I always liked him, but I always felt like he might be one of those actors that may never not be Jon Snow. But I feel like that's not the case after watching this. I get he did it as Jon Snow, but the Kit Harington from season 1, I don't feel like could pull that scene off.
No, he really has kind of grown into the role and with the show as it's gone along. But yeah, the next storyline they went to was actually catching up with Sam and Gilly.
That's the first time we've caught up with them in a while.
Yeah, the last time we saw them, I think it was in the finale of last season where... Does he send them away in the second to last episode or the last episode? Was it the last one, right?
Maybe the last one?
Because I want to say it was the last one, because I believe the way that the story was structured throughout the episode, like the first time you go to Castle Black was Sam talking to him, wanting to leave, and then he goes ahead and lets him go, and then when they circle back to Snow, that's when the betrayal happened. I think that's when it happened, but I'm not 100% sure on that one.
That sounds right. And then I was going to tell you I agreed with one part you said, but then when you went back and said it again, you said it the way I remember. Because I didn't remember him sending Sam. I remembered Sam wanting to leave. And that's what you said when you were explaining the scene. So, but catching up with Sam and Gilly. Sam, being true to form, gets completely sick on the ship. Sam being Sam, and Gilly is like beside herself, excited. Dude, there is nothing to see out of the windows, and she's running from window to window, looking out of them. So yeah. I liked it. I liked it too. They're back and forth, basically. How he has done so much to protect her and that baby, where he could say, we're going to Mount Doom, and then she's like, okay, I'm game. Yeah, pretty much. Cool little character moments, like how she called him the father of the baby. That was really cool. That was cool.
And I almost expected the ship to capsize because it was such a heartfelt moment.
Right. Yeah, no, they didn't get Game of Thrones yet.
Not yet. Yeah, there wasn't really much to talk about with that one. It was a real quick, just kind of basically giving an update on where they are.
Yeah,
So,
pretty much.
Did you have anything else to talk about with them?
No, not really. It was a cool little character moment, though, when Sam said that his father is his father, but his mom's nice, and his sister.
Yeah, they'll take care of you.
Yeah. But, yeah, we go from them back to Bran and back to another, I don't, for a lack of a better word, I'm just calling them flashbacks, but they're really more than that.
Yeah, I think the first thing I would like to say, though, is the Bran stuff from previous seasons has always never been bad, but was what kind of interested me the least, especially in the early seasons when you would be getting into like the thick of the Khaleesi stuff, especially.
Right.
Where when they would cut back to Bran, you're kind of like, you know what, this is cool and all. I want to see what Khaleesi or like Tyrion's doing right now.
Yeah.
But their idea of doing these like interactive flashback type scenarios, I think it's one of the coolest parts of the season so far.
Yeah, so far. Seeing a young Eddard Stark was awesome because I'm always for more Eddard Stark. He was my favorite character in season 1, so...
Man, that actor too. He looked kind of like him too.
Yeah, he did. Acted kind of like him. I feel like he watched a lot of Sean Bean in Game of Thrones to prepare for that role because the way he did his facial expressions and stuff was very similar to Sean Bean. But how intense was that fight, though?
I put the 1-on-4 sword fight was one of the most wicked fight scenes I've ever seen.
I had it listed as Eddard badassery.
I had it listed as cool seeing Ed Stark finally whoop some ass.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's a great character in season 1, but I think really the only action scene you ever got out of him was where he starts to fight Jaime and they duel for a little bit, but then the guy stabs him in like the Achilles tendon or something. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Can't really remember anything else than that.
Yeah, no, he didn't have a lot of action. He was the type of character that, it was all in the past for him at that point.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I know, pretty cool little scene. The point of that whole scene, I feel like, though, is to show Bran that not everything that he knows is true. Because he had heard that story of how his father whooped that dude's ass. What'd he say, hundreds of times or 1,000 times or something? And turns out he's not the one that really technically beat him at all.
Yeah, no matter who.
Apparently that's the most famous like fight that they reference back to that you've never seen before.
Had a great fucking name for the swordsman too. His
Sword of the
call
Morning
sign was Sword of the Morning.
Something like that.
Yeah, he sounds like a fucking like samurai. It's like fucking cool, dude.
I wonder if he smelled the sunflowers.
Yeah. That sword fight I thought was one of the coolest sword fights they've done because it's hard to choreograph like a 1-on-1 sword fight, but to make a 1-on-4 sword fight still kind of viable that the guy is winning, it was done really well.
And they also made it almost plausible to dual wield swords because in real life that would never fucking work.
It works for that guy.
It works for that guy. But
yeah,
no, is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
The way that you kind of alluded to it by saying that you call them flashbacks, but there may be more, is he's able to somewhat communicate with his dad.
Yes.
When his dad's going up to enter the castle type thing, Bran disobeys Max von Sydow, the three-eyed raven dude, and yells out his dad's name. Or does he say, he says dad, right?
Yeah, he says dad.
And then he straight up stops, like almost like he heard a ghost, and turns around. And at that moment, I was like, holy shit, they can do anything with that if he's able to like, they could even have a thing where he prevents himself from being paralyzed.
Right. Yeah.
Like, they can do anything with that.
Pretty much. And that tells you that these are more than just memories. Because you really wouldn't be able to alter a memory.
They've done a great job making Bran a more interesting character because, like, the warg stuff was kind of cool, But if you can fucking straight up alter time and reality, like that's cool. Even for Game of Thrones stuff, that's pretty sick.
And then it's pretty cool the way he could do it indirectly too. You know, it's not like Doctor Who where he's going back and physically doing something. If he's communicating like he's a ghost or something, like no, it's got some interesting stuff. It's going to get interesting later in the season for sure.
I hope they actually bring Sean Bean back.
Yeah, for an episode or so.
If for nothing else, them doing a little bit more with his execution, like Bran actually watching the execution go down and seeing Arya, I think would be really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, really hoping they're able to have Sean Bean back because fucking Sean Bean does not get enough attention for how good he is, and when he does get good roles, they kill him too soon.
Right.
So I want to see him back for more because he's one of my favorite actors. So
yeah,
I would love
definitely.
to see more.
Then we went from there to something I know that you're always happy to see. Good old Khaleesi.
Oh, Khaleesi. First of all, my favorite line from her whole sequence was while she's walking to the next location and the guy in the caravan is just like, move your ass, great Khaleesi, or whatever.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
But yeah, it sounds like she's in a bit of a predicament.
She, my note for her sequence was, it's cool seeing her actually in danger again.
Yes.
Because, you know, she can talk all she wants, but when she doesn't have the dragons, if she doesn't have her army, the titles only go so far.
Yeah.
And I think that was the big reason behind her dialogue with the other Khaleesi.
Yeah, it's showing her that she's not as mighty, I don't think, as she thought she was. And because, I mean, dude, the number of like names and titles that she's got that she's having to just like rattle off every time she tells her name. And I think she's learning that those are getting kind of pointless. Really. Yeah. Because it all boils down to if she has dragons or not.
The titles are cool and all when you're surrounded by your army and your Charizard and your other two dragons, but
Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard.
Right. They don't mean shit in her current situation. I have no idea how fucking Jorah and I'm blanking on his name, but the other dude are going to be able to get her out of that situation. I have no idea.
I really think it's going to be Charizard.
It has to be. It would be pretty cool if Jorah and what the fuck is his name? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know who you're talking
about. The guy with the shodels. I forget his name though. But yeah, it would be pretty cool if they rescue her by flying in on Charizard. That'd be pretty metal.
I think they'll show up, get themselves in a situation, and then Charizard will come just burn the place down.
Probably murder all.
Just because Mom's in danger.
Yeah. Dario, that's his name. I'm going to pretend that I was actually able to come up with that on the fly. We clearly didn't pause the recording to find the name of the actor.
No, not at all. Good job remembering. Yes.
I know. Excellent job, Jeff. Was there anything else you wanted to add about Khaleesi?
Nope. I think that pretty much covered it. In fact, that's the only time we saw her this whole episode, right? Everything else has been Khaleesi heavy until now.
Correct. So yeah, we'll move on. Next up was actually a really, really badass scene with Varys.
Yes.
Every scene with Varys is badass just because of how amazing that actor is. But this was a very, very cool scene. He's basically fucking Varys, dude. This was in my notes. He's been here for like a week. He has found out everything they need to know.
Right.
Awesome. So he's basically telling a girl who he has figured out is in the conspiracy via his spies that she was a part of the conspiracy and she has the option to either go along and give him the info he needs, and he will even give her safe passage outside of the city, or the other thing that'll happen because of this.
Right.
So he's so good in that show in that every line can be portrayed as both charming and menacing at the same time. That was one of my notes.
Yeah, dude. Props to, I don't know how you say it, Conleth Hill, which is the Lord Varys actor, because that cannot be an easy character to portray because he doesn't do anything but talk.
And it's like gripping every time he talks.
Every time he opens his mouth, you just kind of sit forward a little bit, like, what's he going to say? So
him and Littlefinger. We need more him talking to Littlefinger because that was some of my favorite stuff from the early seasons.
Yes, dude. Their dialogues back and forth in front of the Iron Throne.
Good. So He is, to me, one of the most underrated actors on TV. I mean, this is a show full of them, but him in particular, one of the best.
Yeah.
And then we transition over to Tyrion, and his dialogues with Grey Worm and Melisande, I think that's her name, are hilarious.
Yeah, no, it was everything you expected from Tyrion.
He is. I'm glad to see him after all of that personal tragedy. He is now with the purpose of wanting to help Khaleesi and viewing her as worthy of his help. He is now back to being Tyrion, which is cool.
Yes. Yeah, no, he's moving along pretty nicely after everything that happened to him. And he had some shit go down, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, to see him being back to his old, drunken self is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was actually one of the quotes I put down was, "We do not drink until you do."
Until you do. My buddy Steve through and through right there.
Right.
Yeah. But that entire scene, him sitting there awkwardly with Grey Worm and Missandei, yeah, it was just... Everything that came out of his mouth was gold.
Let's play a game. Let's play a game. How do we play this game without alcohol? Oh yeah, wait, we actually can't play this game without you guys drinking.
And then Missandei's line with, "Our masters would make us play games," and then he is like, "Awesome, there we go." But just the girls. He's like, "No, not those games. Fun games."
No. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was saying, that's where they revealed that Varys has pretty much told them who all the conspirators are. And fucking Varys, dude, that was so cool. He's just like, well, the good news is the people inside the city are not who we need to be worried about. And then Tyrion's like, no, good. It's just the three leaders of these, wealthy and powerful cities we have to worry about now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, apparently the problem is not the city, it's the region. So,
right.
Yeah.
That was good stuff. Good stuff. Anything else you want to add to Tyrion?
Nope. I just can't wait to see what's going to go down, because if it's anything like King's Landing when he was in charge, dude, I can't wait.
I can't wait. All the plot lines are looking fucking up, man. I can't wait. From there, we go to... Okay, every single time Zombie Mountain is on screen...
He has a presence in the room.
I think I pee a little every time Zombie Mountain is on screen.
Dude, that moment when what's the asshole maester?
Yeah.
That moment when he said that it'd be in our best interest to have the monster destroyed. He didn't even get to finish the word, and then you hear him fart.
You're right.
When he sees Zombie Mountain as he's talking about destroying him.
You know what? I'm not asking for much, but I want to make it into Hollywood and just be the guy who had to ADR the fart in on Game of Thrones.
The fact that he lost control of his bowels even just for a moment.
It was like virtual reality, because that's what I was thinking. That's what I was fucking thinking. But yeah, right before that, they actually show... I don't know what to call him, so I actually wrote it. I'm going to start calling him the Necromaester. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, that's a badass. That's my next Dark Souls character, I think.
Necromaester.
Necromaester.
So he's basically
dirty.
taken over for Varys. He's actually now bribing all the little kids as spies.
Well, you heard that they were his birds. They were his birds. You've never known who Varys' birds were.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Yeah,
those are his little birds.
So now it's confirmed that if a lot of them, if not all of them, are little kids. It's pretty genius. But yeah, the reaction the little kids have when Zombie Mountain walks in is my reaction too. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
And the other line that was gold was when Jaime walks in. And he's like asking exactly how the mountain is compared to how it used to be. And his actual quote was, "To the extent that he ever understood complete sentences." And Zombie Mountain turns and looks at him like violently.
Yeah.
And Jaime like jumps out of his pants. And it was hilarious.
And then he's like, he understands well enough, is what Necromaester says.
Yeah. It's like fucking one of the cool thing about Game of Thrones is you have shows that can be uplifting and funny, and then you have shows that can be dark. And Game of Thrones, on a dime, can change tone. That's not easy to do.
Well, even some of their incredibly dark moments have a little touch of humor to them.
Or dark comedy with it, yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible what they can accomplish. One thing I wanted to point out before we get too far away from it, though, when they were in the room with the council, and he says, like, we may not be able to make us leave, but you can't make us stay. And then they all get up and walk out. That was actually pretty badass.
And then Pasella, I think that's the name of the maester dude. His reaction to walking by the mountain, he's just
dude,
like
the look in Mountain's eyes, and then what little you can see through that helmet is just unnerving.
Yeah, that was cool, and I also like the fact that Cersei's basically back 100%.
Yes,
and I like how her and Jaime, when they're walking around with the mountain, don't give any fucks about anything. Because, like, what are you going to do? If they wanted, they could have killed them all, because Zombie Mountain could have destroyed them all in about a minute.
Yeah.
So he is definitely a presence in the show and actually at King's Landing. So I think it's pretty cool. Anything else you wanted to add with that scene?
Just about the High Sparrow and the King.
Oh yeah, I was about to transition to that.
Okay, I do mine by region. I don't know how you do your notes.
I do mine basically by the dialogues between the characters,
dialogues.
like who's talking.
Yeah, I have like Marine, and then next was King's Landing, and I have everything listed that I wanted to talk about King's Landing. So, but yeah, dude, that High Sparrow stuff. This is getting to the point that Game of Thrones is good at with striking a nerve where you're just like, what the fuck? You know, because this king is so the opposite of Joffrey that you don't even have to be very manipulative to manipulate. And then, like, that moment that he has him sit down next to him, he goes from being a king to being a child again. Like, okay, and sits down next to him. And the sparrow's starting to work his way into his head now.
Well, you know what was also cool is before they ever even talk, when Tommen walks in, and it's before the King Sparrow turns around, they just zoom in on the look on his face. And he's basically got this expression like, this little prick again.
I got it more of like, I knew you would come.
I get the impression that, like, I mean, and they've proved his point too. Right now, he can do whatever the hell he wants. If the king can't mandate them to do something, when Joffrey could literally make anyone do anything, he has that whole city, under his thumb. Yeah, it's crazy. And is it what's the actor's name? Price, I think.
Yes, Jonathan Pryce.
He's great too. He was a really, really good addition to the show.
He's one of my favorite Bond villains.
Yeah,
he's the villain of Tomorrow Never Dies.
From there we actually move over to the Arya stuff. The Arya stuff was very cool this week.
Yes, it was.
One of my notes was these Arya scenes are giving me a bowstaff complex. Like, every time someone gets hit by one of those fucking bowstaffs, dude, I like feel it in my jaw.
Right?
It's brutal.
Oh, so rough. But dude, that moment when she strikes the other girl and she gets up all pissed off and Arya blocks it. Like, I kind of sat up a little bit, like, oh, and then the look on Jaqen's face was like, oh yeah, that's my girl, she's back.
But basically, too, one of my notes was when she gets her eyesight back,
which I was
she's
shocked
gonna be a
happened.
Badass.
Which I was shocked happened this soon.
Yeah, I was about to get that, but like, what I was thinking when it was happening was, as soon as she gets her eyesight back, she will fight like a complete badass. Because if you go to being able to fight while being blind to all of a sudden being able to see again, like, she will be a little murder machine even more than she already was.
Right. Yeah.
Crazy. One little subtle thing I noted too, I don't know if you caught it, was very, very cool little detail though. They changed her hairstyle to that of Jaqen. Did you notice that?
I did. Very, very
cool detail that their costuming is also underrated in this show. They're very, very good. I really, really liked all the dialogue they have between her and Jaqen, because I've always given big props to the way that Jaqen actor portrays his lines, because I can imagine the way he has to say shit like, what does a girl actually know and shit like that. Arya also is very good at delivering those lines. And I was also incredibly surprised that she got her eyesight back this quickly. I was with you on that one.
Yeah, I figured that would be very late in the season, if not in the finale. But yeah, dude, I can't. There's a lot of great things. I can't even form words about what's going to happen with Arya. Like, it's already shaping up.
What's also so cool too is we weren't expecting her to get her eyesight back or Snow coming back or any of the shit to happen till later on. So the fact that they're confident enough in what's to come that they're willing to blow past these important events. Well, we're about to be hitting the shitstorm.
I was going to say, I guess we're to the point that we've heard about George R. Martin talking about when he's working on the show with them, when he said that a lot of the character storylines are going to converge soon, is what he said last year. So I guess we're now getting everybody ready for all of these, what seem to be completely different paths, to finally start crossing. That's the only thing I can figure because, dude, they are hauling balls right now.
And when they do converge storylines, that means more characters can die. Because
he already
they
said,
don't need...
George R. Martin, in that same interview I was talking about, said that people that you think are safe will no longer be safe once their storylines converge because he doesn't need them anymore once they get to that point.
And I also think it's hilarious that George R. R. Martin was telling his fans, like, those characters you think are safe. When have I ever thought anyone was safe, George R. R. Martin?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, Arya stuff was really, really cool. I liked how they didn't spend a whole lot of time dicking around with her being blind. It was cool, but I'm glad we're back to Arya being supreme, a little assassin badass. So I can't wait. Can't fucking wait. From there, we actually transitioned over to a scene I wasn't expecting at all.
But it had one of my favorite lines in the episode, though.
I was expecting them to go back to Ramsay in some way, but what became of it was pretty crazy. Okay, so first of all, I don't know if they had ever had that guy who comes in to talk to him on the show before, but that character is amazing.
Which one?
Just the lines he tells him.
The one that...
who brings him the prisoners, who's basically talking shit to him.
Yeah, he had one of my favorite lines in the episode.
Did you have it noted?
I was gonna look it up while you filled airtime. Thanks.
But
it was when he was talking about his dad, and he's like, "Your dad was a cunt," and then he calls him that twice.
I said, "Your father was a cunt, and that's why you killed him."
Yeah, and then he says something else, and he tells him again that his father was a cunt.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, dude. I did not expect to see. Is it Rickon?
Yeah.
Rickon?
I had completely forgotten about him.
I remembered him, but I couldn't tell you what happened to him. And then I was thinking about that during the brand stuff, that we still got one more out there. I was not expecting to see them.
I think the last time they showed them, it was when they departed. They were all together with Bran, Rickon, Osha, Hodor, and the two brother and sister who were trying to get him to the Three-Eyed Raven. And then I think as soon as they figured out they were really, really close to the Three-Eyed Raven, they departed each other because they couldn't bring them along.
Right.
But yeah, I was stunned to see that Osha and Rickon were there too. And then just like the feeling of terror I feel for those two.
Oh, I know.
Because like what Ramsay has done in the last episode to his own blood, what he'll do to him,
and
who
technically...
is even, like, Rickon has a stronger claim to the North than even fucking Ramsay's little brother did.
That's what I was going to say. Technically, he's warden in the North right now.
Crazy. And I am petrified for them.
And man, are we running out of dire wolves.
Man, it is a bad show to be an animal lover for sure.
Yeah.
It is brutal.
What? We're down to just Ghost?
Yeah, I think, actually. Because you saw... we've
got one out there in the wilds.
What?
We got one out there in the wilds. Arya set hers free.
That's true.
So they killed Sansa's.
They killed Sansa's. They showed Rob's get killed, and they showed just now Rickon's get killed. So yeah, it's just intense. I'm fucking terrified for them, and it's gonna be terrible. And I'm actually really, really curious to see. I think since they kind of alluded to it in their dialogues, how they're going to be going after the wildlings because of the guy bringing them Rickon and Osha. That was kind of an olive branch saying, "I got you this. Now you need to help me go kill all these wildlings." So I think, do you think starting up the next couple episodes, they're actually going to be charging after the wildling groups that are now over the wall?
Yeah, I think so, but I can't tell if they're going to go into combat with them or if something's going to happen in the meantime, like either on the way there or before they can start the battle. You know, maybe some White Walkers or something. I feel like something's going to happen. It's not going to turn out the way you think it will.
And I think for sure Sansa, Brienne, and Theon have to be involved.
Yes.
Somehow. Yeah, I can't wait to see all these fucking storylines.
I know.
Can't wait to see where they go. Every last one of them. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pins and needles, man. Pins and needles.
It really is. And then from there, we transition to the ending of the episode, which is back at Castle Black.
Can I just tell you what I had for Rickon in my notes? Rickon Stark is fucked, is what I had in my notes.
Yeah, well, what I had honestly forgotten about Rickon and Osha, scared shitless for them. That's actually what I wrote down. But yeah, after that, we go back to Castle Black.
Oh, man, this scene.
If I'm not mistaken, have they opened and closed every episode so far with Castle Black? No, for sure.
The first episode did. Yeah, I guess so.
I think they have. I could be mistaken, but that's what I'm thinking.
Well, I'm sure we can count on Scott Peters and whoever else it was to correct us if we're wrong on that.
Yeah, they're like our interns. So, yeah. I'm sorry, guys. You'll never be paid for the money you deserve for actually fact-checking this terrible podcast. But, yeah, one of my favorite scenes they've ever done was this one.
Yeah.
Because you go back, you see Snow, and he's looking at something, you can't really see what it is, and then when he stands up to go outside of the room he's in, he throws back onto the table the vest type thing he was wearing that still had all the blood on it from his stab wounds.
Yeah.
So you already know from that point, just his state of mind. And then you exit there and you go out, and then you kind of know what's coming, but I was actually expecting him to have a conversation with all these guys while they were still in their cells.
Yeah.
That's actually the scene I was expecting. But what we get is Snow going outside to a public execution of all of the traitors.
Yes.
Which this was another thing I wasn't expecting for another couple of episodes. So they are hauling ass to these storylines. We'll get to the last two, but they have the other two traitors. One really, really cool exchange of dialogue is basically where one of them's telling Snow, as he's about to be hanged, could you please write to my mother and tell her I died, fighting the wildlings?
Yeah.
And Snow doesn't even say a fucking word, next person.
Yeah, pretty much. There's a lot of really cool character moments there with Jon Snow, because there's ones that's like, I'm sorry I have to kill you, sorry I have to kill you, not sorry I have to kill you, and then like Ollie. And like, dude, the fact that he stood there and watched Ollie strangled to death the entire time. One thing we actually forgot to talk about too was I actually liked when they revealed Snow was alive at the beginning. We didn't mention that. When he goes and talks to Ed, and then his exchange with Tormund is really cool. Tormund's like, they all think you're a god. And he's just like, I know you're not because I saw your pecker. Yeah, that was hilarious.
Good stuff with that. But yeah, going back to the ending, he goes and talks to Thorne first after he's talked to... I don't know if he talks to all four of them. He does talk to, obviously, Thorne and Ollie, but... and besides the other guy who was asking him to write his mother, I don't think he talks to the fourth guy, but when he goes and talks to Thorne, I actually thought it was a cool little character moment for Thorne, too. He's basically saying, like, I feel like I was in the right. Even if I knew I was going to wind back up here again, I'd do it again. That was just a cool character moment for him, I think. He's a douchebag, but at least he stands by his douchebaggery.
Yeah, he owned it.
He owned it. That was cool, too. And then more just fantastic Kit Harington was him looking at Ollie. And, Ollie is just giving him this go-to-hell look, and then Snow is just devastated looking at him. He doesn't even have to say a word. He's just heartbroken that it has come to this.
Yeah, and then not only that, the hesitation he has before he cuts the rope that executes him. Like, he stands there and just kind of steels himself for it. He's got to, like, ramp himself up to it because he just... Even though they killed him, he doesn't want to do it.
He doesn't want to do it, and they like you were saying, like they take a minute or so before he cuts it. So for a second, I was thinking he might send him outside the wall. That was actually something I thought they might go with. And then he turns around, and that's basically like this is some of the character development they've had for him because of his death. Is because if they let's say this, I think if they had tried to execute him, but failed, I think he would have kicked him out of the Night's Watch north of the wall.
Right.
But the fact that they killed him, that was basically him admitting that he'd failed the Night's Watch, kind of.
Yeah.
He was right in doing so, and he had good justification. But the thing with Ollie, I think, really broke him, where he felt like he had failed Ollie.
Yeah.
And then he still goes and kills them, and just crazy character stuff going on with Snow. And then we get one of the most metal lines ever on the show. Fucking Snow walks up, hands his coat to Ed, basically saying, like, burn it, do whatever you want with it, the watch is yours. And then he takes a few steps away, doing the biggest pimp walk I've ever seen. My watch is ended. And I actually said out loud, fuck yes.
Yes.
It was awesome.
It was pretty badass. And then it goes straight to credits from there.
What's cool, too, is I remember you and I almost called the line of dialogue. Last year when we did our commentary for Mother's Mercy, we were talking about how the one reason we wanted Snow to come back was because with Eddard Stark's death and with Rob's death and some of the other more important character deaths in the show, the deaths led to more storylines. But with Snow, what leads to more storylines is him actually coming back.
Yeah.
You end storylines by keeping him dead. So the thing we said, we pretty much called it. We said his watch is now ended. He can do whatever. He can go wherever.
Yeah.
He can converge on these other storylines, the way you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. He is basically, he died as a Night's Watchman, and now that he's resurrected, he's basically free of his oath. So,
and even if they wanted to challenge him, they saw the fucker come back to life. They think he's a god.
What are you gonna do?
What are you
going to challenge the god? Like, yeah,
well, yeah.
And he still has the help of the Night's Watch because one of his closest friends he just made Lord Commander. So
right now he has control. He is not the official leader, but he has quasi-control over the Wildling army and the Night's Watch.
Yeah, and not only that, right now everyone thinks Rickon is dead. They think all the Starks are dead, and he was a bastard, but he's the closest thing to a son that Eddard Stark had. So technically speaking, he could probably take over as Warden of the North if he marched his ass up there with a Wildling army. He could claim the throne, and what are you going to do? Thanks to the war that Robb Stark fought and everything, they have no army in the North. So Ramsay still does because they show them go after Stannis, but yeah, right, but not at Winterfell.
If he goes after Winterfell with that fucking giant alone, they could do some damage.
He can splatter some heads, man.
I cannot wait to see where all these storylines go. Particularly, Jon Snow is a complete wild card right now. He can basically converge in on any of those other storylines, and you can kind of buy it. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah,
it's brilliant setup for this.
Right now, he is the one character that I'm the most uncertain about what they're going to do or what's going to happen. He's the one that I'm drawing a blank on because he can literally go anywhere or do anything that he wants. And we still haven't talked about his mom. We still don't know who she is, and the fact that they brought it up a couple of times throughout the seasons, it leads me to believe she's someone important.
One of the fan theories going around is basically that it's somehow connected to the Targaryens, where Snow is not only, having a claim to the North because of his Stark blood, but if it's also Targaryen, he has an Iron Throne claim.
Anything could be true, but the issue I take with that is the Targaryens are known for their silver hair. Daenerys had silver hair, her brother had silver hair, everybody had silver hair. But
they were also inbred. Snow is not.
Yeah, that's true, but Eddard was more of a redhead, wasn't he?
Yeah,
young Eddard was in the flashback.
But you don't automatically get the same hair color.
No, not really, but I'm almost thinking Baratheon of some sort, but I don't know.
They could do anything with it.
Just because they're known for their black of hair. Remember when Eddard was going through the logs, the journals, and it was like Baratheon, black of hair, Baratheon, black of hair, and then it was Lannisters, gold of hair or whatever, gold of hair. I'm almost thinking Baratheon for just how fucking black his hair is in some way.
Yeah, something. But I think they're going to end up doing something cool with that. And I can almost guarantee you the only 3 people on the planet who know that answer are Martin and the 2 showrunners.
Hey,
and they will never tell anyone.
Speaking of Baratheon, what about his bastard? We haven't seen him in a long time.
No, the last time you saw it was didn't Davos free him?
Yeah, Davos freed him,
ship.
And he went off on a little boat. Yeah.
He's going to end up being the king. He's going to roll back in. He's going to roll back in like last 5 minutes after the credits. So like, what happened, guys?
I forgot about him.
There's so many. What's crazy is there's so many fucking subplots of Game of Thrones that they could not wrap up some of them by the end, and we would have forgotten all about them, and so it wouldn't even matter.
Right?
They had so much going on. But yeah, man, just real quick, Kit Harington, the way he delivered that line and that pimp walk, dude.
Oh, I know.
Just money in the bank, and I love it, and I can't wait to see the next episode.
The reason that's an awesome character moment is because that's the most, dead set and confident you've ever seen him. Was right there. Everything about him, he's always unsure if he's doing the right thing or whatnot. He had no question in his mind with the way he was walking and the way he delivered that line.
Snow gives no fucks at all, and I approve. Was there anything you missed on your notes, Ron? You want to bring back up before we sign out?
Nope. That was pretty much all I've got.
I did have one other note. The special effects on all the people who were hanged
were
the
God.
best special effects I've ever seen for someone getting hanged.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
It was disturbing to watch.
It was very disturbing to watch.
Yeah.
And then it was disturbing to look at the bodies.
Their eyes freaked me the fuck out, dude.
Yeah. I feel like we actually watched them get hung like Roman actor style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their special effects, the actors, the costume department. This show, every single person is knocking it out of the park. Every single person involved, down to the people who are getting coffee for fucking Benioff and Weiss. They're also, they're whooping ass at that job because it shows in the show, the detail, the writing, the setup. It is just all absolute gold. But yeah, this has been episode 3 of tonight's watch for season 6 of Game of Thrones. If you would like to check out more of our content, we ask you to please like and subscribe. That gets you all of our content. We run this Game of Thrones special every Sunday night, but we also have a podcast that goes up covering the week in geek news every Wednesday. We also, run some Let's Plays too. So if you're curious at all about any of that stuff, we would appreciate the subscribe. We have Facebook and Twitter links below in the description if you're curious about those. And we'd really, really appreciate the share out to any of your friends or family if you know anyone else that might also like to check us out. Big thank you to anyone who might have been catching us for the first time the last couple of weeks. Like Ron and I were saying earlier, we have gotten a lot of hits on this for our standards, which are pitiful, but there are our standards nonetheless. But yeah, we really appreciate anyone giving us a checkout of the episode. So for this night and all the nights to come, I am Geoff.
And I am Ron, and now this watch is ended. Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Blah.
Sounds like every conversation we've had so far.